All right, well, I will spend just a few minutes introducing the event. So while a few more attendees trickle in, I'll open up this presentation, this virtual lecture. So welcome and thank you so much for attending this virtual lecture sponsored by Studies in Applied Linguistics in TESOL or SALT journal. I just like to say a few words about the journal as the editor. So my name is Ashley Betcha. I'm the editor of SALT. And a little bit about the journal. SALT is an open access journal committed to building a community and facilitating discussions between students, professors, and practitioners in applied linguistics and TESOL around the world through the publication of quality empirical research, reviews of literature, and interviews with leading scholars in the field. I can put the link to our website in the chat if you want to check it out maybe a little bit later. And I can also share the latest issue that we've published, which you can see in the middle of the screen here. So I'll put that in the chat. Feel free to check that out when you have the chance. And let's see. I wanted to share a few ways to stay connected, to learn about future events, receive calls for papers for the journal, and so forth. If you would like to stay connected, you might sign up for the listserv, the email list for the journal, and also follow us on almost every social media platform. So I can also put the links to those things in the chat as well. While I'm talking, maybe you can open up if you are interested in following us on any of these social media platforms. As I mentioned, I said call for papers. I just wanted to highlight that we are accepting manuscripts. So if you are interested in publishing, you can check out the website for submission guidelines. And you can always feel free to email the journal if you have any questions about that. So without further ado, I'd like to now introduce the speaker of today's virtual lecture, Dr. Ana Emília Fajardo Turbin. Dr. Turbin is an applied linguist and an associate professor at the University of Brasilia, whose work centers on multiliteracies, multimodality, and AI for inclusive language education. She completed a postdoctoral fellowship in the academic year 2024 to 25 at Teachers College, Columbia University, focusing on the use of artificial intelligence to support the teaching of students with low vision. And she did this under the supervision of Dr. Eric Voss, who is actually one of the SALT faculty advisors and editorial board members. She holds a PhD in education from the University of Sao Paulo and has published extensively on language teaching, teacher education, and assistive technologies. In today's presentation, Dr. Turbin will be talking about this research that she had conducted at Teachers College, Columbia University, which examined the use of assistive technologies to support students with low vision and their preparation for participation in the labor market. The study focused particularly on the integration of artificial intelligence or AI-based digital tools within a specialized educational setting. Classroom observations and guided interactions with an experienced educator in inclusive pedagogy were carried out to analyze how such technologies mediate communication, enhance access to instructional content, and promote the development of autonomy among visually impaired learners. The results underscore the relevance of incorporating accessible technological resources into educational environments as a means of strengthening academic engagement, digital competence and vocational readiness. The research argues that the purposeful and informed implementation of assistive technologies is essential not only for improving educational accessibility, but also for supporting broader processes of social inclusion and equitable participation in the job market for individuals with low vision. So we're so pleased and honored to have Dr. Turbin with us today. And just one final note, please feel free to put any questions you have in the chat throughout the presentation because we will have some time at the end for Q&A. So without further ado, let's invite and warmly welcome Dr. Turbin to the floor. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can everybody see me? Thank you so much for this introduction. And I'd like to take this space, this time now, to express my gratitude to TC College and Professor Dr. Catherine Morales and Dr. Eric Voss, who was my supervisor, for their invaluable guidance in helping me to conduct this research. Their support taught me a great deal about how to carry out research, including reviewing literature, engaging in important scholarly works. I'm also deeply grateful to the Helen Keller Center that opened the doors for my research. So now I'm going to start, just a moment, sharing my... Well, just a moment, I have to go to the beginning. Well, the title of my lecture, like everybody must have read, is Low Vision Assistive Technology Tools for Young Adults to Prepare Them for the Workplace. So I started this research with a problem, which is diverse learners who are low vision need special help to participate in the work market, to be independent. So the main purpose was to conduct research on low vision assistive technology designed for people with low vision. So, of course, I raised the following questions to carry out my research. What types of assistive technology are used in courses offered for low vision students? What are the students' reaction towards them? How do instructors and students communicate while using assistive technologies for students with low vision? So after this research these questions were raised, I must say that, well, just a moment. Enter. I must say that design of the study focuses on the AI tools used by teacher M in a low vision class that prepares low vision students for the workplace. The context is a Center for the Blind and Low Vision Students in Brooklyn, New York. So let's start with a definition of low vision. Visual impairment, indeed, encompasses a wide range of vision loss, from mild to severe. Conditions such as retinitis pigmentosa, glaucoma, macular degeneration, albinism, aniridia, diabetic retinopathy, and optic atrophy can all lead to varying degrees of visual impairment. So, assistive technology is any can help these subjects with any adaptive device or service that increases participation, achievement, or independence for a student with a disability. Assistive technology helps individuals who are visually impaired with and without additional disabilities. Wheeling C, 2015. And here, not only artificial intelligence driven devices, other devices are also taken into consideration, but artificial intelligence is a very important concept. And AI technologies cannot solve all problems, but they can help to address the major challenges, both social and environmental, facing humanity today. If designed well, um, if designed well, AI technologies can foster the delivery of socially good outcomes with unprecedented scale and efficiency. Caos, Amado, Stadio, and 2000, let me see here. I was at a meeting. 2021. I don't know why it's not going this slide. Okay, another important concept here is diverse learners. Diverse learners are students recognized as diverse that do not conform to typical stereotypes. Often society hastily categorizes students as either gifted or disabled before educators can understand the unique strengths that this individual contributes to the classroom. Virginia Department of Education, 1996. So now we are going to talk a little about the theoretical framework that was structured around the works of Edwards Terra, 2024. She focuses on inclusive education principles. She emphasizes touching, and storytelling in the interaction with blind and low vision individuals living in a community. Also, we have here the works of Cope and Calantes, 2012, 2012, who highlight the principles of inclusive education research. The principles meaning the importance of adapting teaching methods and educational tools to meet the diverse needs of learners. And also, VOS 2023 discusses the role of AI in enhancing educational experiences for students with disabilities with a focus on personalized and responsive technology that supports independent learning. So the context where I did my research was a center in Brooklyn, Helen Keller Center, and my main focus was on the instructor M. She serves as the instructor for assistive technology, leading the TEAM, Technology Employment, Achievement, and Mastery Program. She has more than 25 years of experience in the field. She teaches a class of 5 to 6 students, all of whom are graduate students with low vision. And instruments that I used to collect data were field notes, that fulfill a significant function: observation and interviewing. As Livanares, 2013, explains, field notes fulfill a practical role by offering a dedicated space to document all of your impressions and observations. It's important to record your memories promptly afterward, as specific details are often the first to forget within this ethnographic research I use for this. So here I'm showing you the checklist that I used to collect data and to gather insights about the interaction and the use of low assistive technology in this context. So here, let's see here, as you can see, there are many items, items such as set the scene. When would that happen? What location? What was the physical environment like? What about the student observations? How they behave, how they engage, how they interact with others and with the teacher. And look for signs on how they identify or connect to the class. Teacher's role is another item. Teaching styles. What are the teaching styles? How the teacher uses pedagogical tools, like her language, the technology device. What about the interaction with the students? Notice how the teacher engages with students and responds to them. Communication and tools. In this part, we can observe the presentation of the content. So the researcher can record how class content is presented, whether through spoken word, written materials, technological resources, and other. And finally, almost finally, you have the reflections, the recurring themes. You have to write down as a researcher what is the recurring theme or pattern or anything that stands out over time. And your own reflections, including your thoughts, being mindful of your biases, of course. So, what I observed in this class is the constant use during class time of an app called JAWS. This app was employed in conjunction with other non-AI enhanced technological tools such as YouTube, Outlook, many other. So there is always an integration of technological devices. And one of the first episodes or classes that I observed was one in which instructor M selected a video in which a human resource professional instructed students on how to respond to questions in a job interview. With the assistance of JAWS, the students with low vision, including two with very, very limited sight, were able to follow the lessons in the video and were assigned the task of answering the following questions. Why should we hire you? What's the company looking for? Is your qualification compatible? What makes you unique? The mediation conducted by M was exemplary. As she paused the video to ask questions and listened attentively to each student's response, she provided them with tips, preparing them to perform successfully in job interviews. In another class, after these classes, she showed how to behave, how to answer job offer questions. There was a role play exercise that was carried out by the human resources of Helen Keller, during which the students demonstrated what they had learned, always accompanied by the JAWS application. So the activity revealed how the combination of JAWS and widely available platforms such as YouTube can serve as a powerful tool for preparing students with low vision for professional contexts. By engaging with authentic interview scenarios, learners were encouraged to reflect on their personal qualifications, strengths, and uniqueness, while simultaneously practicing communication strategies essential for employability. In another moment, in another class, the students were required to configure links to their social media profiles, while the teacher explained why this is important in the job search process and posed reflective questions. Is this useful? Is it necessary? Teacher M mentioned LinkedIn, noting that 90% of profiles attract recruiters. And another lesson, another other lessons, let's say, it's not just one, sometimes takes more than one lesson. There was a focus on the use of Outlook application. With the support of JAWS, always with the support of JAWS, the teacher once again guided the students in using Outlook and addressed several of its features, not only writing and sending emails, but also tools for scheduling meetings, creating recipient groups, organizing to-do lists. And what about the use of artificial intelligence on mobile phones? I interviewed the teacher M about that separately. We had some sessions in which I interviewed her. I used some kinds of semi-structured questions so that they were open, not so closed questions. And she noted that teachers are aware students make use of this technology. Concerning speech recognition, such as Alexa, Siri, teacher M or instructor M, observed that these tools provide a sense of independence and control in performing basic tasks. Furthermore, I also asked about ChatGPT. She stated that students often use it for research, since this tool, it's her quotation, compiles information in a rapid and accessible manner, which the screen reader can easily access. So when asked whether there are specific features of these tools that students currently find particularly useful or challenging, teacher M responded, the interaction between JAWS and ChatGPT is seamless. My students are encouraged to use artificial intelligence tools beyond classroom instruction. However, I believe they prefer interacting with a human teacher. So, summing up many of the things I have already said, students effectively integrate AI tools like JAWS and magnifiers, demonstrating adaptability. But JAWS in this context is essential or was essential for accessing texts and apps like Outlook. The use of JAWS has proven to be a very good screen reader and helped the students a lot. I must say here, opening some space, that when I was there, sometimes I wouldn't say it was a class for low vision or blind, because they used so well that you couldn't tell, oh, they are low vision or they are blind. According to the teacher, they buy the app, which belongs to Fusion Company. And the teacher M fosters a supportive learning environment through clear communication, motivational language, and personal engagement. Her patience and familiarity enhance rapport, making assistive technologies like screen readers and magnifiers more effective. So during the class time, I will bring here some of her comments that were always very encouraging and motivational. Your blindness doesn't define you. You all learn differently. No one is an island. We have a great collaborative spirit. So I'm going now to the answers to the questions that I raised when I started the process of the research. So the first one that I had already mentioned before is what types of assistive technology are used in the courses offered for low visions? The classes, as I have mentioned, use all the time the app JAWS, all the class time. They buy the app, they count on its properties to go about the activities, and they do all the activities with the app JAWS. As I observed when they watched YouTube videos and they did the Outlook activities as demanded by teacher M. And the Outlook, for example, they develop how to do to-do lists, how to send email to a group, to how to create links for meetings, and how to add the meetings to the calendar. And also, there was the integration of the magnification, you know. So usually there is an integration of devices. In another class, the teacher presented the YouTube about how to behave in a job interview, and she commented about the answers and had the students pay attention to the video presenter hints on how to be ready for the interview. So here you see that not just AI empowered devices are used, but many other technological devices. The second question is, what are the students' reactions toward them, to the device? They showed, in this context, I must say, familiarity with the app, understood the teacher's instructor. So it was a very, let's say, very positive outcome. The instructor, on the other hand, was extremely patient and attentive, repeating as needed and allowing students to complete tasks before providing individual corrections. And the question 3, how do instructors and students communicate while using assistive technologies? Instructor M calls the students by their names and understands their low vision challenges. With over 25 years of experience working with low vision individuals, M has developed a strong rapport with the students. And this creates an atmosphere where students feel comfortable communicating their progress and difficulties, fostering a supportive environment. I'm now going to the final considerations. I don't know if my time is okay here, if it's too early or too. And the results of this study underscores the significance of integrating AI-based technological tools to enhance the teaching and learning process for students. The use of applications such as JAWS, along with other technologies like magnifiers, not only strengthens students' autonomy, but also contributes to a more inclusive and effective educational experience. Teacher M's approach, centered on the use of assistive technologies and the creation of the supportive environment, proved essential to the success of this process. Her commitment to provide individualized support, combined with her technical expertise, was fundamental in effectively integrating these tools into her students' daily routines. So, this ethnographic study highlights the transformative potential of assistive technologies when appropriately applied in educational contexts. It reinforces the need for continuous investment in teacher training and in the development of technological resources that prioritize inclusion and accessibility. The data further emphasize the importance of digital literacy, particularly when Teacher M focuses on Outlook, its functionalities, such as composing email or sending emails, scheduling meetings, creating distribution groups, organizing tasks lists. These practices not only enhance students' technical skills, but also prepare them for professional environment where such competencies are indispensable. Future research may expand upon the findings presented here by investigating the impact of other emerging technologies and the role of artificial intelligence in the education of students with different types of needs. Moreover, public policies that encourage the use of these tools can significantly contribute to the creation of a more just and equitable society. On the horizon, we have the wearables, such as smart glasses, that will help low vision students to take pictures, describe events, locations, and read printed texts. These tools can be a game changer for students with low vision or blind. Conclusion? Now I'm going to conclude that the key point is it's important, again, to advocate for policies that support the provision of assistive technology at no cost or reduced costs to students and their families. AI and assistive technologies enhance educational opportunities for low vision students. Schools must integrate these technologies into standard teaching practices. Accessibility should be prioritized through user-friendly and widely available tools. And policy advocacy is essential to ensure affordability for all students. So these are my references, and thank you for all that, for everybody who came here. I'm very touched. Thank you very much. And these are my emails too.
And thank you to you, Dr. Fajardo Turbin. This was really an eye-opening presentation. Thank you so very much. See lots of rounds of applause and comments in the chat. We do have plenty of time for some Q&A and discussion. I have a few questions myself, but I wonder if anybody wanted to kick us off and ask any questions to Dr. Turbin. Yeah, sure. You can jump in. I see Jillian.
Jillian, wonderful.
Hi. So I found this to be so very interesting and informative. And, as a teacher myself, I know that positive reinforcement and the support is of students and reinforcement is so important. And I was really happy to see that this was highlighted here and that it is important in all classrooms. And thank you. Just thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you for making such comments that are so important. And I feel very grateful listening to that. More questions? Muhammad.
Yes, good day to all of you. It was a very excellent presentation. You talk about the assistant of technology. Mostly, students are checked to use AI tools while research and while assignments, and they are told that these are the poison for you. They will weaken your capability of research and writing. How do you justify it?
Can
Thank
you,
you.
excuse me, Muhammad, can you repeat it again, please?
Dear students are told that you should not use AI in your research and assignment writing, and it
They are
can
told not
reduce.
to.
No, no,
The students?
most of the students in my society, in my university, mostly in Pakistan. I am doing PhD English linguistics, and the first advice was by our professor was same that you need not to write AI for your research and for
Ah, okay.
assignment.
Ah,
So
okay.
my question is that how do you justify the position that the professors tell students or advise students to not use AI for their research and assignment, but on the other hand, there are bulk of researches research articles, research papers, and so on and so forth on AI usage for quick learning and for quick research. How do you justify this position? Thank you.
Muhammad, very good question. Excellent question you have just asked. I think one key point here is the students should be critical of what AI gives them. Of course, it's a good resource for, in this case, it's a very specific context, which is a special education for low vision students. But I mean, in other contexts, I think there must be a kind of critical thinking about what the AI can bring, because everybody knows I'm just here focusing on the good things I saw about the use of AI in a class with low vision students. Something else is a class, an ordinary class with students who are in fact told not to use because AI can substitute their own activity. What I think is, in the other context, the rules are different. The rules that I'm talking here about this context not necessarily apply to the rules of an ordinary classroom. Of course, you cannot allow them to use as much as they want without criticizing everything that can have a lot of prejudice against people, against race. The artificial intelligence is not a panacea for all the things. We must be very critical. And the teacher, I mean, in my opinion, is supposed to control and tell the students what they can or cannot do. They cannot, of course, deliver some work, some paper done by artificial intelligence, because this would be uh, not learning. On the contrary, is making the students lose the ability of learning because they don't use their cognitive skills. But in this specific study that I conducted, AI driven tools were absolutely invaluable. But you cannot compare and say, oh, everywhere is going to be like that. It's not this. It works differently. So that's why research is so important, because what I'm saying here may be different in another context. The results can vary. So we have to bear in mind that it's not the solution for the educational problems. You are absolutely right in this respect. Now we have more questions. Veronica Lubitz.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for your talk. As someone with low vision who relies on assistive technology a lot for accessing information, I was really excited to listen in and hear about your study. My question was about you talked a lot about teaching them how to write emails and things like that. I was wondering how you were teaching kind of like proofreading and checking for spelling errors and text things, or if you had any
Um,
recommendations for how AI could be used for helping to proofread check text, checking for spelling errors and things like that, because I know that can be very challenging for blind and low vision users.
yes, good question, Veronica. I don't know if I can answer your question because my view, I'm starting this field now, and I started at TC College doing this research that was absolutely small for the size of problems we have in this respect. Yeah, I think writing for low vision is a problem. Maybe it's another subject that should be researched. What you're bringing is actually a problem for a future research that maybe you can conduct.
Well, I am a PhD student, so I guess that's something to explore. But I was just wondering if it had been like discussed again with like teaching how to use these assistive technologies and things like that, and showing how AT can be used not just for reading, but also for writing.
Absolutely. I think this is a great objective. And I I think you will discover a lot of things if you do some research on this because writing, especially in a low vision context, is another kind of let's say literacy. They have to because many have to learn through Braille, and this is something that I think AI can even help, but I cannot tell you exactly how. But if you look at, I mean, any mobile phone in the accessibility part, if I'm not wrong, there is one aspect about writing for low vision students. There is some aspects. Very good question, Veronica. I'm sorry I cannot give you a very perfect answer. But I think you should I think you should continue your question and transform it into a research, into some piece of research.
Yeah, and I do see in the chat a little extended conversation on this topic. One comment about perhaps any of these AI editing tools could be used with a screen reader. And then in response, a
Oh
comment about
yeah,
tools like Speechify that do screen reading, but we'd need to check whether that would work with writing. So some suggestions.
that's a very interesting point that Veronica brought here. How to write. And I was more focusing on the language, what happened during the interaction. But this is content for new kinds of research and very, very interesting.
Absolutely. If you don't mind, I do have a question. I did also see a related comment in the chat about wanting to see a demo of the integration of JAWS with some of the
Oh
generative.
yeah, that would be great. My God,
Yeah.
that would be great. But I was not allowed to film,
Mm.
when I did this research, Ashley, how difficult it is to start the research at Teachers College. My God, I don't know how many times I filled out lots of, how do we call, forms, and they are absolutely rigorous and very serious about how to treat the subjects. So this would be possible if I had stayed longer and I would have the consent of the teacher, the director of assistive technology, but I mean, I didn't have that time.
Yeah, that's I can definitely relate to that. I wonder if you could briefly describe what exactly is JAWS? Or I'm honestly not even.
Okay, JAWS is an app, an application that is sold by this company called Fusion. The students themselves, according to the teacher, buy this app. So it's an app that is basically a screen reader that helps you, like, nowadays, if you go to Microsoft, all these big companies have, a screen reader. But maybe it's a little more sophisticated, more aimed at low vision students, because what called my attention was that they were so familiar with the app that they would all would listen to the voice of Joss while, for example, learning how to use Outlook and their to-do list, everything. They would react to the teacher doing the activities by listening and reading, by reading everything with JAWS. It seems to me there are many types of readers like that. But in that particular context, that was the one that they used. And I don't know if they use other types.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying. I see Veronica in the chat put a.
Thank you.
I,
Thank you for asking.
yeah, we have
There are
some.
so many things, as you start asking questions, we see that there is a world of novelties and important discoveries that should be taken into consideration, and how to do research is important, to see the new devices that are coming along, new smart glasses, new apps here. There are so many things being produced, but everything has to be taken into consideration. We have to do some research and how to apply them, and if it is useful, if it's not. We live in a world, the AI world now. I think I'm not talking here about the bad things that AI can bring, such as prejudice or theft of your identity. I'm in this in this lecture just focusing on a good thing that I noticed through my observation that AI can bring to low vision students. So it's very limited to one context and some devices. But I know the gigantic world of AI can bring a lot of problems that the whole TC college, all the students will have to do as pieces of research for many years.
Right, absolutely. As an emerging sort of field.
It's a new world, it's a new order. So we have to see what to do here, how to use it there. Is it good here? Oh, no, don't use it there. Of course, like Mohammed said, forget about, in my opinion, giving the freedom to use in a writing class or in a school. Okay, you can do everything on what happens to this student? He will not learn to learn. He will have everything ready without critical thinking.
Boa noite, Professor Turbin. Sorry, I missed your introduction.
Oh, I'm
My
sorry.
name's Heidi DeMello. I was just wondering, como anda esse tipo de tecnologia no Brasil? Where are you with this sort of
I'm
assistive
in New
technology?
York because
No, in
I'm
Brazil. I'm sorry.
in Brazil. In Brazil, I must say, now they are working on the regulations of this problem, because one of the biggest problems of AI in Brazil is the lack of regulations. So they're working on that. But I must tell you, everybody, like everybody here, we wake up with AI. Sometimes Alexa, sometimes We have all those to make an appointment at the doctor. So we are already immersed here and in Brazil. You know, the speed of AI is everywhere, Heidi. It's not just in the United States. It's, of course, that's a great question you asked, because there are the digital excluded. Of course, there are people who are excluded. There are minorities, or maybe in some places, majorities. There are people who are excluded. But in general, the potential of AI has already arrived in the whole world, my opinion.
No, absolutely. I mean, having lived in Brazil, I was just wondering about what the state of assistive
Now
technology
it's very
was
developed,
in the universities and
very developed.
for the blind and low vision in Brazil.
Ah, for the blind and low vision, is
É isso que
everything
eu queria.
very. Oh, you're right. For the okay, for the ordinary students, everything is coming along quickly, but the blind, no. You are absolutely right. I had some blind students in my class, and there were no assistive technology, as far as I can remember, for them. I myself found myself a little lost when some time ago I had this student who was totally blind. I didn't know exactly what to do, and I had no assistive technology that I could refer to. Nobody told me at the university that I could use this or that, and the student could just stay in class and pay attention to the class because she went with a friend. And so it's like Tara. I read this book that my dear Catherine gave me to read. Like Tara writes in her books, everything through narratives, because the narrative, so she went with a friend that would perform the function of a screen reader. And she would say, now the teacher is doing this, write this. It was like this, Heidi. I didn't see any further development in the low vision technology in Brazil. I'm sorry to say that.
So do you
You're
feel
right.
like it's maybe it's a lack of just training, teacher training, because obviously, everything that's online is available to everyone, right? And I
Oh
know that,
yeah,
right? Is that the
absolutely.
issue or? Uh-huh.
Lack of teacher training, and the literacy, digital literacy for the teachers and for students, how to use the devices, all details that are important to learn how to use it.
Obrigada, professora.
Imagina, querida. Are you studying in Colombia now? Are you a teacher or what?
Oh, no, I'm an English teacher. I'm currently in Istanbul, Turkey,
Oh,
at
no kidding.
at Marmara
I see.
University. And as far as I know, this is inspiring me to maybe reach out and do some research on our campus to see
Yes,
what is
please
being
do.
done for this population of students. So you're kind
Please
of
do.
if anything, your presentation really inspired me to
Oh, thank
get
you. I don't
something
know. Thank
going. Thank
you.
you
Thank
so
you.
much. Yeah.
I thank you. I thank you because this is so good for me to hear. I'm here talking, but then, well, is there, what effect can I cause? And now you gave me a present. Thank you, Heidi. Any more questions? And I'd like to say something. Catherine Morales, this wonderful professor, was the one who gave me the idea of working with AI and low vision. I have to be to be I am very grateful to this fantastic professor, Catherine Morales.
No, it was you that came up with the idea. Thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. I think it's so fascinating to hear from
hear you report back from your observations. I think, this is an area that is developing, like you've mentioned, and you've been discussing different avenues of where to go next in terms of the implications of AI. And I do think, this is kind of like to be determined in terms of how it influences language learning and intersects with literacy practices. And I think it's very exciting, the work that you do, and that you're like on top of this this important new wave of language learning tools that we have.
Of
And like
course.
I mentioned in the comment, I don't know if you read this, but I think it would be
No.
interesting to see, there's a lot of possibly, I mean, I don't know the crowd here, but potentially conversation analysts in this chat. I'm not sure. So I'm wondering, while you were, reporting on your observations, I was wondering how a discourse analysis of multimodality, right? Of like kind of like this perspective,
Yes.
how that would look like in a piece on classroom discourse, implementing these tools.
Oh, that's right. That's very interesting. Yes.
And I also think a topic that maybe could be also for further consideration is there's some sociolinguistic pieces from last year that sort of discussed the concerns with AI, pushing, promoting the ideological standard, right? And sort of like omitting voice and difference,
Yes.
right? In favor of standard English. So I'm wondering, I'm wondering as well the perspectives from the position of people that use these people with disabilities, how they feel about like their voices, and whether these tools are catering to them and elevating them and helping them find their voice or not. Just kind of the ideological perspective, I think, is really interesting to examine.
Yeah, that's another kind of research. It's the side of to investigate what the low vision think about. I mean, paid attention to the structure because I didn't have time. Remember, Catherine, to go over a longitudinal or 1 year research. So I had to narrow down to the focus on the teacher. However, this is fantastic if somebody can go about asking students who with low vision how they interact with those tools. I mean, and maybe there are many who even don't know many of those tools.
Definitely. I think if anyone here is thinking about projects for the future, I think that could be a potential project that translates to industry too. How the
Yeah.
user feels, how the user feels about these products. Yeah, but
Absolutely.
otherwise, thank you so much for this wonderful talk. I'm so glad to see you here virtually and hopefully in person.
Yeah.
And my daughter is next to me and she's listening.
Let me see. Can you bring her?
Wait, I can, 1 second.
I want to see her daughter because Catherine was going to be my supervisor, but then she had this wonderful big mom. She's so cute. My God, she's so cute. Oh my God, Catherine, congratulations. That's the wonderful child you have. Catherine. Como que Catherine. Thank you, Catherine, for everything, my love. Let's see if we can meet in Brooklyn someday. It's not the place to talk about this. And okay.
Thank you. I do have a sort of, I think, follow-up question.
Sure.
So in the beginning of your presentation, you highlighted how students with low vision or blind students have diverse needs or unique needs.
Yes.
I know you focused in your study on the instructor, but I wonder if you noticed any variability in how the students were using the assistive technologies.
Yes, some students were very seriously, almost totally blind. So I think some students who could see, some students could benefit more than others, I think, because of their disabilities. Unfortunately, I must say that other students who had low vision and they used all those tools, you could hardly say, oh, this person has an impaired vision. But sometimes when the student has a very, very serious problem, then I think they need more help.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you so much.
Welcome. I thank you all for making some time and coming here. I feel very honored with all the presence here.
We're also so grateful for you to have opened up this time and sharing and to have shared your research. Do we have any other questions or comments before closing?
I was just going to say, it looks like Veronica shared a bunch of resources, which is great. Thank you,
Yes.
Veronica.
Yes, I'm sorry to jump in and share that, but since you had talked about again trying to get the voices of students, we're talking about technology and things like that. I shared a toolkit that was developed with Perkins School for the Blind that helps to empower
Oh,
students to
look.
talk about their own AT preferences. Again, I'm
Wonderful.
sorry if it sounds like self-promo, but it tied in perfectly with what you were talking about, so I wanted
Yeah,
to share.
wonderful. Wonderful. As I was saying here, um, Dr. Eric Voss came with this idea that maybe it's a further investigations related to the use of smart glasses because they help low vision to feel more secure wearing and being able to not to read but to know locations because it's a new technology. I know there are many factories working on that, famous ones like Ray-Ban, and Apple is coming up with some new glasses. But I mean, the future seems to be heading towards the use of wearables, such as that I'm not talking concentrating in a class, but talking about low vision people being able to read, but still having on my mind the cognition challenge of these people, talking how some other devices are on the horizon to help them, like the smart glasses. I've heard about pins. I've heard
I think she has internet connection problem. We are not receiving her voice. Is
size,
it
the
right?
vast world of new inventions that's coming up. And I hope, because the conclusion is, I hope that all have access to everything that is good for their needs. It's not just the discovery and let's sell this, sell that. It's more than that. It's to give access and equal opportunities. I think I'm very political in this respect. I'm sorry, but it's in my blood. To give everybody the same opportunity.
Absolutely. I think a lot of us here share that value and that hope. Thank you so much once again, Dr.
Welcome.
If there are any final questions, feel free to unmute or put them in the chat. But I would like to just wrap up by highlighting and sharing another learning opportunity.
Great.
So if anyone is interested in joining our next event, I'll put the registration link in the chat. But thank you again to both Dr. Turbin and also everyone who attended and really actively participated in today's session. Yeah, congratulations, Dr. Turbin.
Thank you, everybody. A big heart for everybody. Let me find here.